My sister brought her new boyfriend to dinner. I recognized him immediately from the affair I never told her about. The sound of forks scraping against ceramic blended with low conversation and the familiar clink of Mom's wine glass refilling. Dad was halfway through a story he'd told twice already, something about a guy at work who bought a boat he couldn't afford and now rented it to pay off the loan. Jordan sat beside me, already mouthing the punchline under his breath. I let it roll. This dinner was background noise. A rerun, same oak table, same casserole dish Mom insisted on using even though the handle was chipped and dangerously close to giving up. Taylor was the only one missing, and no one seemed surprised she was late. I was mid-sip, lifting my glass when the door opened. She stepped in like a reveal shot, wind-kissed cheeks, curls still damp at the ends, beaming. The kind of glowing she used to fake for Instagram, only this time it looked real. "I want you to meet someone," she said, her voice lighter than I remembered. Then she turned and the man behind her stepped into view, tall, casual. Confident like he didn't need to try. His hand was laced with hers, thumb resting just slightly on the back of it like a promise. My glass tilted forward, a slow slip. I caught it barely, but the sound it made when it clinked back against the table made Mom glance over. That smile, his smile, was polite, like he was ready for questions, ready to be liked. His eyes skimmed the table once, then landed on me. We both froze, just for a second. Then he blinked, smiled wider, and gave the room a nod like he was introducing himself to strangers. "This is Nate," Taylor said, squeezing his hand. "He's different, you'll see." He looked at me for half a second. That was all it took. Not a double take, not hesitation, just a brief surgical glance, then a smile like he'd never seen me before in his life. Like we were strangers, like he hadn't once pressed his mouth against my neck in a motel 3 hours from here with his shirt half off and his hand around my throat. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Just sat there while Taylor beamed and Mom stood to set another plate, chirping something about how we should have set an extra seat earlier. Jordan kicked me lightly under the table, mouthing "you good," and I didn't answer, because I wasn't. Because Nate just leaned in to kiss my sister's cheek and said, "Smells amazing in here," like he'd done this before, like he belonged. I pushed back my chair, slowly, mumbled something about needing water. In the kitchen, I stood in front of the sink and stared at the tile grout until it stopped vibrating. My hand still smelled like the wine I'd nearly dropped. One weekend, that's all it had been, 3 years ago. A wedding I didn't want to go to in a city I hated. I'd booked the cheapest room I could find near the venue and skipped half the events. I was coming off a breakup, angry at everything, drinking too much. Sitting in a bar with bad lighting and no signal. He was 2 seats away, watching me like he already knew the answer to a question I hadn't asked. Button-down shirt half undone, hair that looked like it had been fought with and lost. He ordered something brown and strong, drank half and said, "You look like you're trying not to explode." I didn't answer, not right away, just gave him a look. He smiled, said he was in town for something he already wanted to leave. I asked if he was married. He said, "Are you?" We never exchanged names. Not that night, not that weekend. Just drinks, touches, looks in the mirror that made it feel like something was crashing and neither of us cared. He pushed me against a wall and said, "You like being told what to do," and I kissed him before I could answer. There was a moment, Sunday morning, sun pushing through the blinds like it was judging us, where I looked at him asleep and thought, "I'm never going to see you again." And that was it. No numbers, no awkward goodbyes, just a note on the motel notepad that said, "Good luck, whatever you're running from." I should have known better. I should have known a face like that wasn't going to disappear clean. That nothing that electric ever leaves without leaving a scar. Back in the dining room, Mom was pouring more wine. Nate had already pulled out Taylor's chair. She was laughing, really laughing. The way she used to in high school when we'd sneak out and make stupid jokes in the back of Dad's truck. "Sorry we're late," she was saying. His flight got delayed and we hit traffic on the 405. Nate looked relaxed. One arm behind her chair, one hand nursing a glass of red like he knew which region it came from. He glanced at me again, just once, and nothing in his face changed, not a flicker. Taylor leaned across the table. "I told you guys, he's different." Mom reached across to touch her hand. "We can tell already." I sat down again, fork in hand, knife useless. "Where'd you two meet?" Jordan asked. "At a gallery opening in Venice," Taylor replied. "Well, technically after it. We were the only ones waiting for an Uber in the rain. He offered to share his umbrella and I figured, hey, if this turns into a horror story, at least it'll be poetic." Nate smiled again. She asked if I was a serial killer before she even told me her name. "I was being thorough," Taylor said, bumping her knee into his. "I listen to a lot of podcasts." Dad laughed. "Well, we're just glad to finally meet you, Nate." I barely heard the rest. Just noise now, silverware on ceramic, glasses being filled. Nate talking about the AI startup he joined last year and the coast house his friend had just bought in Oregon. Taylor talking about how he volunteers on weekends, how he actually likes cats, how he didn't flinch when she played him her sad playlist. And all I could see was the shape of his back 3 years ago. The way he bit down on his own knuckle to stay quiet. The way he gripped the bedsheet like he was trying not to scream. It wasn't just the recognition, it was the rewrite. The way he sat there now, spotless and polite like he'd scrubbed the past right out of his pores. He didn't even flinch when Taylor fed him a bite of sweet potato mash with her fork. Didn't look away, didn't blink. He works in tech, I think. Taylor was talking fast. Her voice always got higher when she was excited. Startup, but not one of those shady crypto things. It's real, like tangible. They do some kind of machine learning for hospitals. She turned to him. Right, tell them. Nate smiled without showing teeth. Diagnostics infrastructure. That was it, 2 words. Then he took a sip from his glass and looked down at his plate like he didn't want to risk any more detail. Taylor jumped in to fill the gap, eager. They met at this gallery, Mom offered, like it was her detail to give. Isn't that romantic? Taylor nodded. I wasn't even gonna go. I'd had this garbage week, right? But my friend pulled me out and then the Uber situation happened and boom. He's standing there like some Nicholas Sparks laid with a busted umbrella. Nate chuckled under his breath, not too loud, just enough to play along. Jordan leaned forward. So, are you moving here or just visiting? Thinking about it, Nate replied. It's looking more permanent lately. He didn't look at me when he said it, but the words landed like a slap. Like he was already taking root, building a life with my sister, setting up shop in my city like he didn't already know how close he was cutting it. Taylor kept talking and I stopped hearing half of it. Something about how thoughtful he was, how he once drove 2 hours to bring her cold medicine, how he remembered her coffee order by the second date. Her fingers grazed his arm as she spoke, casually, like they were already fused. Across the table, Nate met my eyes for the first time since sitting down. Just a flicker. A muscle in his jaw moved. Barely, it was enough. He knew I saw it, knew I remembered. The twitch wasn't random, it was a tell. Like the kind poker players try to erase with years of practice. A single glitch in the calm, a hairline crack behind the facade. Jordan was asking him something about the startup now. Nate answered with practiced brevity. Polished, safe. No first-person stories, no personal anecdotes. Just the right amount of detail to make himself sound smart and stable without giving anything away. Taylor jumped in again. And he cooks, not like basic guy cooking. Real cooking. There was this pear gorgonzola risotto situation that made me black out a little. He's the one, Mom said, half laughing. I'm calling it. My stomach twisted. I reached for my glass and it was already empty. My hand clenched it anyway. Do you remember that guy she dated back in college? Jordan asked Mom, eyes twinkling. The one with the man bun who only drank kefir. He was into mushroom tea, I muttered. Mom snapped her fingers. Derek, that's right, what a weirdo, always barefoot. Everyone laughed, even Taylor. Nate didn't, just watched the room with a smile that didn't move, like he'd trained for this. Like he'd studied my family from a distance and now he was slotting himself into the empty spaces. His eyes skimmed the table once more, landed on mine, then moved on. Taylor was glowing again. Every time she looked at him, it was like someone turned up the saturation. Her voice got lighter, her movements more open, like she was watching her own rom-com unfold in real time. We've been seeing each other for 6 months, she said. I looked up fast. That number punched through my chest. 6 months, the overlap. I did the math in my head. The timing, the messages. Back in the apartment later, I'd check. I knew I would. I had to, because suddenly I wasn't sure he'd ever forgotten who I was, because suddenly it didn't feel like an accident at all. He okay. Mom's voice cut in low, angled at me but trying not to draw attention. Her hand hovered briefly over my arm like she wasn't sure if contact would make it worse. Just tired, I muttered, fork down, bite untouched. I pushed at the sweet potatoes like they might rearrange into an answer. Nate was laughing. A light, easy sound. He was telling Dad about a hiking trail outside Topanga, someplace quiet enough to feel off-grid but not so remote you couldn't DoorDash batteries. Dad was hooked. I hate those fake nature spots, he said. Either commit or don't. Exactly, Nate replied, like they were old coworkers, like they'd bonded over something real. I could hear Taylor's bracelet sliding against her glass. She leaned into him, murmuring something under her breath. His head tilted to catch it, then that grin again, small, controlled for her alone. I watched his fingers graze hers on the tablecloth like it was instinct, like he hadn't once dug them into my hip hard enough to leave bruises. He glanced up, caught me watching, didn't blink, Just raised his brow half a millimeter like you got something to say. I looked away, knife in my hand now, not cutting anything, just holding it. Casserole's good, I said. My voice barely carried. Mom smiled at the distraction. Same one from Easter. I finally wrote the recipe down. Across the table, Taylor beamed. He likes it too. She meant Nate. He nodded like that was the greatest honor of his day. Tastes like my mom's, actually. A lie. I knew it was a lie. He told me once he hadn't spoken to his mom in 7 years. Sweetheart, Mom said to Taylor, you really did well. My jaw locked. I felt it click. Nate turned his glass in slow circles against the condensation ring, not even pretending not to enjoy this, not even pretending he didn't feel the power shift. The room felt airless. The laughter hit my ears too loud, then too far away. Every word he spoke felt wired with threat, and no one else could hear it. Jordan texted me from across the table. You look like you're about to throw up. I didn't answer. Because I couldn't tell what was worse. That Nate was pretending nothing had happened, or that I still remembered every second of it. He found me outside, porch lights off, one step away from lighting a cigarette I didn't actually want. Small world, huh? His voice landed like a slap, casual, low, like he had the right, like we were two old friends bumping into each other at a gas station. I didn't turn around, just kept my eyes on the driveway. Don't. He leaned against the railing beside me, not close but not far enough. I figured you'd say something. To who? A pause. Her, he said. Them, anyone. The air was wet, thick with silence. You think I enjoy this? I asked. He scoffed. I think you enjoy being a martyr. Difference. I turned. What the hell are you doing here? Having dinner. Cut the act. I'm not acting, he said, still too calm. You're the one playing ghost. You vanished. You never asked for more. You didn't even give me a name. He looked at me then, full on. Neither did you. I could still feel the hotel wallpaper against my back. Still hear the low, ragged way he used to breathe when he lost control. None of that showed now. He was all clean lines and calm tone. Taylor's laugh echoed through the window behind us. He didn't flinch. It didn't mean anything, he said. Bullshit. Fine, maybe it did, he shrugged. But if it did, you'd say something right. I stepped toward him. He didn't move. You knew who I was. He didn't answer. You knew, I repeated. You saw my last name. You saw the tag on her picture. You went for her on purpose. Careful, he warned. That sounds like jealousy. My fists curled. Say whatever you want, he added, but if you blow this up, you're not doing it for her. You're doing it for you, so you don't have to sit in the fact that you walked away from something before even asking if it could have been more. He pushed off the railing and walked back toward the house, stopped just before the door. Tell her, don't tell her, but don't pretend you're the only one with something to lose. The door clicked shut behind him. So you've been single since Devon. Her tone was casual, offhand, but the way she was watching me wasn't. Wine in her hand, socks on her feet, curled into the corner of my couch like she used to do when we were kids staying up past curfew. I want you to be happy too, she added. I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. Devon had been 3 years ago. The breakup was ugly, half her fault, mostly mine. I'd stopped trying to explain why I always felt like I was looking for something I couldn't describe. Taylor nudged me with her foot. Well, I've been busy. She made a face. You sound like a LinkedIn post. I managed half a laugh. It sounded wrong in my own throat. Across from me, she looked peaceful, relaxed in a way that didn't come easy to her. The wine was working. Her cheeks were warm. She had that look she used to get before opening presents, like she already knew what was inside and couldn't wait to show you. I mean it, she said. You've got this big heart and no one sees it because you're always guarded. Maybe I like it that way. Liar. I reached for the bottle between us, poured slowly. She stretched her legs out, toes brushing my knee. Nate said he could tell you were the hard-to-read type right away. My grip tightened on the neck of the bottle. Said you size people up, always calculating, kind of like a lawyer but with less smiling. He said that. Not in a bad way, she swirled her glass. He said you were smart, that he likes that about you. 1,000 replies crowded my throat, none of them safe. She leaned in. You do like him, right? I looked at her, really looked. Her hair pulled back, face open, hope pouring off her in waves she didn't even know she was broadcasting. I like that you like him, I said. That's not the same. It's enough. She sipped, considered me over the rim. You've always done that. Done what? Protected me, even from stuff I didn't know was happening. My heart cracked sideways. She smiled. You're a good brother, I hope you know that. The words hit like a punch to the ribs. I try, I said. She stood, glass in hand, and leaned down to kiss the top of my head. Well, try harder. You deserve to be happy too. Then she padded down the hall toward the guest room, humming something soft and off-key. I sat there in the quiet, wine untouched, heart slamming behind my ribs like it was trying to punch its way out. I sat on the floor, legs bent back against the couch. The living room lights were off. Only the glow from my screen lit the room now, and it made everything look worse. Like truth lived in the shadows. I opened the old folder, the one I'd never deleted, never renamed. No name / no picture, it was still there. The messages weren't romantic, nothing flowery, just short charged lines, coordinates, half-jokes, schedules wrapped in impulse. You still in town. Room 206 again, you coming or not? Friday, don't chicken out. One picture. Not of him, of a beer bottle in a motel fridge with a smiley face drawn in Sharpie on the label. I remembered laughing when I opened it, laughing and hating myself a little. I scrolled, checked the timestamps. Looked at the date of the last message, weeks after we stopped talking. You disappeared. That's cool. Guess that's the move now. I'd never answered. Back then, I told myself I was doing the right thing, that it wasn't going anywhere. That I didn't need the mess, but now I looked closer, at the way he wrote, the tone, the rhythm. Nate hadn't been a stranger, not really. The more I read, the more it twisted. He'd known. Maybe not that night, maybe not at first, but definitely before tonight. Before he stepped into our dinner table like it was his stage. Before he kissed her and shook hands and spun stories. He knew who I was. He went for her anyway. And if the overlap was right, if the dates matched like I thought they did, then he was already talking to her by the time he was still texting me. I opened her Instagram, scrolled until I hit a familiar post. The first time she'd tagged him. A blurry sunset shot from a rooftop, 2 wine glasses, a caption that said didn't see this coming. The timestamp, a week after his last message to me. I closed the app, I wanted to scream. Instead, I stared at the wall, trying to figure out if he was some kind of sociopath or if I'd just been the wrong target at the wrong time. But I knew better. Nate wasn't impulsive. Nate was precise. He'd gone through me to get to her. The parking garage was half-lit and echoing. Every step I took bounced back at me. My fists were already clenched, keys pressed hard between my fingers like brass knuckles I didn't really know how to use. He was leaning against his car, polished, calm, hands in his pockets like this was a meetup, not a confrontation. You have some kind of death wish? I asked. He didn't flinch. Evening to you too. I kept walking. Stopped 2 feet from him. You think this is a game? No, he said slow. I think it's a mess, and I think you're about to make it worse. Don't talk to me like we're on the same team. He tilted his head. You want to be enemies now. You want me to drag this out in front of her. You think she's gonna just forgive you, forgive me. I don't think anything, he said. I know how people react when you rip the ground out from under them. They go cold, they go quiet. You think you're doing her a favor, but you're not. I stepped in close. You think I owe you silence. No, I think you owe her a decision. She's my sister. She's not stupid, he said, sharper now. She'd figure it out eventually. Maybe she already has, but if you blow it up now, you don't get to pretend it's because you're noble. It's not. It's guilt, and guilt makes people reckless. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to break the perfect calm in his face, but my hands didn't move. He kept going. You ghosted, remember that? You left without a word. I was pissed. I got over it. Then she showed up and she was different, honest. Weird in the best way, and I thought maybe I could start something clean. You're full of shit, I snapped. Maybe, but I didn't plan this, and I didn't lie to her. I laughed cold and flat. You left that part out, didn't you? She doesn't need to suffer for your shame, he said. Don't. She loves me. I moved before I knew I was going to, shoved him, hard. His back hit the car door. He didn't hit back, he just stared. This isn't going to end well for you, I said. He straightened his jacket, stepped around me. It's not about endings, he said, walking away. It's about who gets there first. The taillights lit up, and then he was gone. Jordan opened the door in sweatpants and no shirt, wiping his hands on a dish towel like I'd interrupted something halfway decent. You look like hell, he said. Let me in. He stepped aside. I dropped onto the couch, chest still tight, the kind of tight that doesn't let up no matter how hard you try to breathe around it. Jordan tossed the towel on a chair, grabbed 2 beers from the fridge and dropped one into my hand. You gonna tell me why you're vibrating like a tuning fork, or should I guess? I opened the bottle, didn't drink, just held it like a prop. It's Nate. He didn't ask which Nate. Okay, go on. He's weave. I stopped, shook my head. It was years ago, a weekend. We didn't swap names. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know who he was. And now, he's dating Taylor. Jordan blinked. Jesus. Yeah. You sure it's him? I know his face. Okay. So he dated you first, and now he's with your sister. How long ago was this? 3 years. Did you ghost? I looked at him. That's a yes, he said. I rubbed my jaw. It didn't feel like ghosting. It felt like closing a door. You think he knew she was your sister when they started dating? I hesitated, not at first, but he figured it out at some point. He had to. Jordan leaned back, watching me. All right. Let me ask you the one thing you're trying not to admit. What? Are you pissed because it's your sister or because it's him? My breath caught. Because from where I'm sitting, he said, you don't sound like a protective brother. You sound like a guy who still wants the person he left behind. I don't. He held up a hand. You don't have to say it. I'm just saying, if this was some random dude from her yoga class, you wouldn't be here at midnight looking like you just murdered a conscience. I stared at the bottle in my hand. I'm not still in love with him. Jordan raised an eyebrow. I'm not. He didn't press, just took a sip of his beer. Okay. I don't want her getting hurt. Fair, but let's be honest. You want to destroy him. The word sat between us like it had teeth. Do you think I should tell her? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, I think you're the only one who knows if this is about protecting her or protecting your ego. And I think you better figure that out before you set fire to something she actually believes in. The room went quiet again. Outside, a car alarm chirped and reset. Inside, I finally drank the beer. It didn't help. They loved him. Of course they did. He wasn't just charming, he was effortless. The kind of guy who remembered birthdays and offered to help with dishes without being asked. The kind of guy who asked thoughtful questions about Dad's job and actually listened to the answers. Mom followed him on Instagram. I caught her showing Jordan one of his funny but deep captions. Look at this one, she said, laughing softly. You can learn a lot about a person by how they treat a barista on a bad day. Isn't that true? Jordan gave me a look over her shoulder. Dad told a story at dinner, something about an old college buddy who used to steal condiments from restaurants, and Nate laughed at the right parts, added a similar story from a road trip, then passed the wine around like he'd been doing this for years. Every time he spoke, someone leaned in. Every time Taylor smiled, she looked younger. I was the only one not moving. I sat there, fork in hand, smile mechanical, watching the entire table tilt toward him like gravity had shifted in his favor. He wasn't trying too hard, he didn't need to, he played casual like a sport. Even his flaws sounded endearing. I burn pancakes. I overtip delivery guys. I can't keep a houseplant alive, each one landing like a little insight instead of a red flag. They all ate it up. Jordan sat beside me, muttering into his glass, should have gone into politics. Would have crushed it, I muttered back. At one point, Nate pulled out his phone to show Taylor something, a stupid meme, I thought, but she laughed, leaned her head on his shoulder, and whispered something that made his eyes close briefly, just a flicker. Like it soothed him, like he loved her. That was the worst part, because maybe he did. And maybe I was the only one in the room who remembered that once he'd looked at me like that. The casserole came back around. Someone said we should make this a monthly dinner. Someone else asked if Taylor and Nate were planning a trip this summer. I floated. I nodded when I had to. I kept my voice even, but I could feel it slipping, control, perspective, oxygen. He glanced at me once mid-sentence. One brief second. A look I couldn't read, but I felt it in my gut. He wasn't afraid. He knew he'd won. I don't want to keep secrets from you. She said it over brunch. Sunlight spilling through the windows like the day hadn't done anything wrong. Her voice low, private, meant just for me. I looked up from my coffee. Taylor sat across the table, hair still damp from the shower, face scrubbed clean, no makeup. The kind of rare moment where she wasn't performing anything, not even happiness, just sitting there real. He told me he loves me, she said. I didn't answer. He said it this morning, she went on. Like he couldn't hold it anymore, like it was killing him not to say it. My hand was around my mug. I hadn't moved in a minute. She smiled into her tea. It didn't feel rehearsed, you know. It felt messy and real, and she broke off. God, I sound 14. You sound happy, I said. I am happy. She leaned in, elbows on the table. But I need you to be too. She didn't know what she was asking. I can be, I lied. I mean it. Her face got serious again. I know I haven't always made the best choices, but he's different. You can see that, right? My jaw locked. I forced it to loosen. He makes me feel safe, like he knows me. Not the version I put out there, but the real one, like I don't have to pretend I'm okay when I'm not. A crack spread through the ceramic. Tiny, high-pitched, my mug had split under my grip, a thin fracture slicing across the side. She didn't notice, she was somewhere else now, eyes soft. I can see a future with him, she said, like really see it. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to shatter something louder than my own silence. Instead, I set the broken mug down gently. That's great, Tay. She reached across the table and squeezed my wrist. It matters that you're good with this, you're my person. I couldn't breathe. You're okay, right? She asked. I nodded. She smiled. Good. Then she got up to get more tea, humming something under her breath, shoulders loose, future unfolding around her like it had already started. I looked down at the mug, cracked but holding, just like me. She'd knocked the mirror clean off the car. Dad's Honda, back when he still gave a damn about keeping it spotless. We were 17 and 15, she was crying before I even got outside. It wasn't even my fault, she kept saying. The trash bins were too close to the driveway. He parked too close, I swear. The glass was on the ground. Clean snap. No dent in the door, just the mirror hanging by a single wire dangling like a loose tooth. I was gonna fix it, she whispered, panicking. I was gonna tell him later, I just needed time. I took the keys from her hand and looked straight at the car. You were inside when it happened. Her eyes snapped to me. What? I'll tell him I backed into it. You were inside, you didn't see anything. She blinked, stunned, but he'll ground you. Yep. And the insurance. He'll scream about the deductible for a week. Then he'll get over it. She stared at me like I'd just ripped a wire out of the universe. Why would you do that? Because you're my sister. That was all I said. The lie held. Dad bought it, grounded me for 2 weeks, took my phone. Made me mow the lawn with a push mower that hadn't worked right since '96. She brought me snacks when he wasn't looking, wrote me notes in the margins of my textbooks. I didn't regret it, not once. That was the deal. That was always the deal. I covered for her. She looked out for me. We fought, sure, screamed, slammed doors. Once I threw a shoe at her and she poured nail polish remover in my cologne. But when it counted, when it really counted, we had each other's backs. And now she was sitting across from me at family dinner with the one person I couldn't protect her from, not without torching everything. She deserves to know. Jordan didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He stood at the edge of my kitchen like he was giving me space, but the words landed like they were sitting on my chest. I leaned on the counter, palms pressed flat, every muscle in my neck pulled tight. She deserves to know, he repeated, and not when it's too late. If I tell her now, I said, I ruin her life. No, he stepped closer. You ruin the story she's built, not her life. There's a difference. She's happy, Jordan. So what? She smiles in every room he's in. She looks lighter. She trusts him. He nodded, cool. So when she finds out, and she will find out, do you want her to remember that you were the one who told her, or the one who let her keep believing the lie? I looked away. You're not protecting her, he said. You're protecting yourself. That's not fair. It's true. I didn't plan for any of this. I know, he said, but now it's in your hands. You think the truth is heavy. Try carrying the fallout when she finds out you kept it from her. I turned back to the counter. I made one mistake years ago. I didn't know it'd crawl back like this. But it did. I stared at the knife block, not because I wanted to use it, but because it was something to focus on, something solid. Let me ask you something, he said. If it wasn't your sister, if it was just some stranger he ended up with, would you still be this wrecked? I didn't answer exactly. The silence stretched out between us, thick as concrete. You want permission? Jordan asked. Fine, I'll give it to you, tell her, blow it up. But stop pretending this is about justice or loyalty or any of that noble bullshit. This is about your shame, your fear. And the part of you that still wants to matter to someone who moved on. He turned to leave, paused in the doorway. And for what it's worth, you do matter, just not to him anymore. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood there alone, staring at my reflection in the microwave door, trying to decide if I had the guts to tell the truth, or if I was still the kind of person who took the blame and stayed quiet. There's something I need to tell you about Nate. I didn't look at her when I said it. Just sat there on the park bench, fingers locked together, elbows on my knees like I could brace myself against what I was about to do. Taylor was quiet. She always got quiet when she knew something serious was coming. It was cold. That sharp, dry kind of cold that makes your teeth hurt if you breathe too fast. Leaves skittered across the pavement like they were trying to escape. She pulled her coat tighter, waited. I swallowed. You remember that wedding I went to in San Diego 3 years ago? Yeah. I met someone that weekend. A beat okay, she said slowly. We didn't exchange names. It was supposed to be just, whatever, a weekend. It wasn't supposed to follow me home. She was staring now, her expression hadn't shifted yet. I forced myself to keep going. He left. I moved on. I thought that was it until the dinner. Until you walked in holding his hand. Silence, the wind pushed through the trees overhead. Somewhere across the park, a dog barked once. Her voice, when it finally came, was careful. What are you saying? I turned to her. I'm saying Nate and I. He wants to propose. She said it like she hadn't even heard me, like her brain had slammed the brakes before the words could hit. I blinked. What? She nodded, a little numb. He told me last night. Said he was looking at rings, said he wants to do it next month, that he's never been more sure about anything in his life. My heart dropped out of my chest. She was still talking, trying to catch up to herself. He made a reservation at that place I love, the rooftop one. I thought it was just a birthday thing, but now I'm thinking. I reached for her hand without thinking. Tay. She pulled it back, not harsh, not angry, just instinctive. The words were gone, whatever I'd been about to say, whatever confession I'd built in my chest like a loaded weapon gone. She was glowing again, dimmer now like the power had flickered but still lit. I looked down at the sidewalk. Never mind, I said, it doesn't matter. She exhaled, you scared me. I didn't answer, because what would I even say? That I almost destroyed her world, but she beat me to the punch with joy. That she dodged the bullet I'd been loading for days and handed me a gift-wrapped bomb in return. She looped her arm through mine, rested her head on my shoulder. I'm really glad you like him. My jaw locked so tight I thought my teeth might crack. Yeah, I managed, me too. Can you help him pick a ring? Her voice had that too easy brightness, like she was handing me a harmless favor, like she hadn't just thrown a live grenade into my hands. I looked at her, she smiled. He's nervous, he wants to get it right. And I told him you have good taste and, well, you do, and I thought maybe it could be this weird bonding thing. I didn't move. I mean, how many people get to help pick the ring for their sister's engagement, right? She said. You'll be a part of it. That's kind of beautiful, isn't it? It wasn't, it was cruel, unintentional maybe, but no less brutal for it. I forced a nod. Her whole face lit up. You're the best. She kissed my cheek and reached for her bag. He's gonna text you, be nice, he's terrified. Terrified, he'd stood in my kitchen and told me I didn't matter. He'd walked through my family like it was a game he was already winning. Now I was supposed to help him crown himself king. She was still talking, something about brunch plans and what color she wanted the bridesmaids in if it ever got that far. She wasn't even engaged yet and the story had already started building itself around her. I heard none of it, just the echo of my own breath, shallow and clipped. She hugged me before she left, tight, real. Like everything between us was still sacred. The second the door closed, my phone lit up. Nate. Hey, got some time this week. He was already moving forward, already handing me the shovel and asking me to help bury myself. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I typed one word, sure. The jewelry store smelled like polished wood and sterile money. Soft music piped in from invisible speakers, the kind that didn't demand attention, just sat in the air like it was supposed to be there. He was already inside when I walked in. Standing near a glass case, hands in his pockets, dressed like the kind of man who could talk his way out of anything. The saleswoman looked up, ready to greet me, but Nate cut in. He's with me. She nodded and stepped back, leaving us alone with a display of diamonds so bright they looked fake. You came, he said. I didn't answer. He turned to the case and pointed to one. This one's a classic, oval, clean. Not too loud. I looked at the ring, then at him. You really going through with this? He met my eyes and for the first time there was no smirk, no mask, just a cold kind of stillness. She loves me, he said. You're a liar. So are you. My jaw tensed. You could have told her weeks ago, he went on. But you didn't, you wanted to, you tried, but when it came down to it, you shut your mouth and let her stay happy. You're not the hero here. I'm not trying to be. You think this hurts me, he laughed under his breath. You're the one losing sleep. You're the one standing in a ring store holding your breath like it's gonna change something. I stepped closer. You used her. No, he said flat, I chose her. She doesn't even know who you are. She knows who I am now. I stared at the ring, it sparkled like a warning. You going to tell her? He asked. I didn't move. Didn't think so, he said, then nodded toward the glass. Help me pick one. My fingers curled behind the counter, gripping the edge so tight my knuckles went white. I didn't say a word. He pointed to another ring, bigger, flashier. She's going to say yes, he said, and then he looked at me just for a second, unless you ruin it. The glasses clinked together like a countdown. To Taylor and Nate, Dad said, lifting his wine. May this be the first of many celebrations. Everyone followed. Mom teared up. Jordan whistled low. Taylor laughed and buried her face in Nate's shoulder. He kissed her hair. I raised my glass with the rest of them, smiled on cue. Swallowed the toast like it was just another drink. Her ring caught the light when she reached for the bottle. Sharp sparkle, bigger than I expected. Not the one we pointed at, not the one I silently picked. He'd gone with a different choice, probably on purpose. Just another reminder I wasn't in control. You sure you're okay? Jordan leaned in close, low voice. You're sweating. I'm fine. He didn't believe me. Want to get out of here after dessert? I shook my head, no dessert. Since when? I was already standing, my chair scraped the floor louder than it needed to, heads turned. Where you going? Mom asked. Just a call, I lied. Nate was still holding Taylor's hand. He looked like he belonged there, like he'd earned the chair, the ring, the applause. I walked out before anyone could stop me. The hallway was cooler, quiet. The sound of clinking forks and champagne laughter faded behind the door. I leaned against the wall, looked up at the ceiling tiles, counted 3 before my eyes burned. They were going to get married. She was going to stand in a dress and say forever to the one person I couldn't look in the face without remembering every lie between us. And I was going to be the best man, or the speech giver, or whatever other role she handed me like a badge I hadn't earned. Unless I burned it all down, unless I said the thing I still wasn't sure would save her or just destroy everything we had. The doorknob behind me clicked. I walked farther down the hall, didn't look back, didn't stop moving. She was waiting on my doorstep the next morning. No text, no call, just sitting there on the top step, knees pulled to her chest, wearing the hoodie I gave her for Christmas 3 years ago and a look I'd never seen on her before. I opened the door, heart already in my throat. You knew, didn't you? She asked. The words weren't angry, not yet, just hollow. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. She stood slowly. No hug, no greeting, just straight to it. Why didn't you tell me? The air between us snapped tight. I tried, I said. When? A few weeks ago, then again at the park. The park, she repeated. Right, the day you let me talk about the proposal instead of opening your mouth. Taylor? Who told you not to? She snapped. Was it Jordan? Did he talk you out of it? Did Nate? No one had to, I said. I talked myself out of it because I didn't want to break you. Well, guess what? She stepped in, close enough I could see the red in her eyes. I'm broken anyway. I didn't know what to say. He told me, she went on, not Nate, someone else, Nora. She recognized him in a picture I posted from back in L. Said she remembered him from some bar, some hookup night, told me to ask you about it. Her voice shook, so I did, and I didn't even want to believe her. I came to you. I was going to tell you. When? She snapped. After the wedding. When I'm 6 months in, when we have a kid. I didn't want to hurt you. Well, congrats, she said, voice rising now. You did. She turned like she was about to leave, then spun back. Was it serious? No. Did you love him? The silence answered for me. She closed her eyes, then nodded. Okay. And she walked back down the steps. Didn't run, didn't slam anything, just walked, and I didn't follow. She sat across from me in the living room. Same spot as always, right corner of the couch, one leg tucked under, hand resting on the side of her neck like she was holding herself together. I didn't offer her anything to drink. Didn't try to make it feel normal. There was nothing normal left. Tell me everything, she said, so I did. No build-up, no dramatic pauses, no softening the edges. I met him at a bar 3 years ago. We didn't use names. We didn't plan it. It was just supposed to be a night, then 2 nights, then a weekend, and then he left. She didn't move. I didn't know he'd show up again. I didn't know it was him until you walked in holding his hand. I thought he was gone. And when you figured it out, she asked, I forced myself to meet her eyes. I froze. I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. Her lips pressed together. He said it didn't mean anything, I added, that I ghosted. That I left, maybe I did, I don't know anymore. She blinked slowly. Was it just physical? No. The silence stretched, long, heavy, alive. He told me he loved me, she whispered, said it like it hurt to say. I looked down. I thought it was real. I think it was, I said quietly, to him now. She nodded once, sharp. Don't, I leaned forward. Don't put this on you, you didn't do anything wrong. She stared straight ahead. Neither did you. I didn't respond. She stood, wiped under one eye, then looked at me like she didn't recognize the shape of my face anymore, and walked to the door. No hug, no goodbye. Just the click of her heels and the sound of everything inside her leaving with each step. She didn't slam the door. She closed it soft, like she was still being polite, like that was the last thing she could give me. I sat there long after the sound was gone, not moving, not blinking. The air in the room felt untouched, like if I shifted even a little, the lie would settle into the walls and never leave. My phone buzzed once. I didn't look. I knew it wasn't her. Taylor didn't leave things unfinished. If she wasn't speaking, it was because she meant not to. I walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, closed it, pulled open a drawer, pushed it shut. The silence followed me. Not empty, punishing. Every corner of the apartment held something she gave me. The painting she found in a thrift store, the ugly mug from our road trip to Santa Cruz. The lamp she insisted on getting from IKEA even though we fought for 2 hours in the lighting section. I sat down on the floor, back to the wall, legs stretched out in front of me like I didn't belong to my own body. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything, I just stared at the ring box still sitting on the table. He'd left it there 2 days ago, said he wanted me to sign off before he made it official, like it was a deal, not a promise. She had touched it once. Turned it in her hand, smiled at the shine. And now it sat in the quiet, untouched. A monument to every choice I hadn't made, to everything I hadn't said until it was too late. I thought telling her would feel like relief. Like I'd set something right, but it didn't. It felt like I'd taken the last good thing she believed in and shattered it just to prove I could. I kept thinking about what she said before she left. You didn't just betray me. You let me fall in love with it. Not him, it, the story, the future, the version of herself she only ever got to be when she thought love meant safety. I didn't know if I did the right thing. I didn't know if the truth was justice or just another selfish act wearing a noble face. All I knew was that she was gone, and the silence I was sitting in, I earned every second of it. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. One love.